What's cooking good looking? Today I'm going to make black and white cookies, which here in Germany are called Americans. Interesting, right? I'm also going to tell you a bit about my opinion of / experience with / prolonged first impression of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. But first, here's what you need for today's recipe. 100 grams of margarine, 100 grams of sugar, 2 eggs, 1 package of custard powder, 80 milliliters of milk, 250 grams of flour, 7 grams of baking powder, 100 grams of icing sugar, 30 milliliters water, 100 grams of dark chocolate, and sugar color in green and blue. The right ingredients are also important for a good piece of tech. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest spec geek. Like, I don't need the best, the fastest. I'm not that much into min-maxing. But there is little doubt that the Xbox wins this round. However, the PlayStation is a step ahead in another important category: exclusive games. Games like God of War Ragnarok, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Horizon Forbidden West, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Demon's Souls, and many more. I love that both consoles offer some sort of backwards compatibility. Of course, it can be expanded, but it's a good first step. They also share the fact that they're kind of big and bulky. And speaking of bulky, what was Microsoft thinking with this mouthful of a name? Seriously, I'm really a bit worried how many people are going to end up buying the wrong console because all the names are so similar and confusing. Thankfully, there is very little that can go wrong with the beta for today's treat. But first of all, preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius top and bottom heat. Now add sugar and margarine to a big bowl and cream them together. Crack the eggs into it one by one and mix the batter thoroughly after each of them. Add the flour plus half the milk and mix again. Finally, add the baking powder, the custard powder and the rest of the milk, and yes, you guessed it, mix it again. Transfer the batter into a piping bag, and if you don't have as much baking stuff lying around as I do, no problem. Just put it into a freezer bag and cut the corner off. The new DualSense looks and feels quite different from the old DualShock 4. For once, it's white, and it also has these teeny tiny little PlayStation symbols at the sides and at the back, so you can grip it easier. There's also this tiny forgettable fact of the haptic triggers, which obviously I'm joking about because they're probably my favorite thing in this whole console generation. They make it so you can actually feel, for example, when you're drawing a bowstring or something in a game. And it's great! Now is the big but though. There is a big but. How many games use the touchscreen of the DualShock 4? I can't think of many, so I'm just going to try to stay positive with this one. Luckily, you won't need forced positivity when piping the cookies onto a baking paper covered sheet pan, because there's very little you can do wrong. 6 smaller ones, 4 big ones, or 8 tiny ones. Just try to keep the sizing uniform so they bake evenly. Put the cookies into the oven for roughly 15 to 20 minutes and then let them cool completely while you prepare the toppings. So, what changed on this one? Not much, to be honest. There is now a USB-C port and there were some minor aesthetic updates, but that's about it. And that's not bad, because the Xbox One controller was one of the most beloved, user-friendly and versatile controllers ever. So why would Microsoft change anything? That'd be stupid as heck. The only thing they could do for me personally would be making it a tiny bit smaller for my small hands. Fortunately, you don't need big hands to handle the spoon for mixing powdered sugar and water for the icing. Spread it on 1/2 of the flat side of a cookie. Set it aside to dry while you ice the rest. I like this thing. I really do. But I would love to be able to ask someone why they decided on white. There were generations of black Sony consoles and suddenly stark white. Also, the size. Like, it's this tall. It's tall, very tall. I don't have a single cupboard where it would fit in. I mean, maybe that's the point, that you don't hide it in a cupboard and instead like use it as a centerpiece in your living room or something. But design aside, there's also the inner stuff, which is actually more important when it comes to gaming consoles, right? Here, there's really nothing to be mad or sad about. The console runs beautifully. There has been not a single hiccup so far. And yeah, the UI is beautiful. It's easy to use. It's fun to use. I miss the themes a tiny little bit, but what else could a gamer wish for? Maybe for some chocolate? What a coincidence! Put the chunks, drops or pieces into a microwave-safe bowl. Microwave it for 10 seconds on high, stir, microwave it for 10 seconds on high, stir, and repeat this until the chocolate is completely melted and smooth. Spread the chocolate on the still empty half of the flat side of a cookie. Set it aside to dry and repeat this with the rest. Maybe it was time for an Xbox that is literally just a box. The design is still good. It has those little green dots on top and that's kind of cute, but it's still a bit plain or boring, maybe even. I don't mean it in a bad way, seriously. But that's the way also I would describe the whole console. Not bad, but a bit conservative. From the design to the UI, it's just less playful and less fun than you would expect from a gaming device. It's a powerhouse, oh yeah, it runs perfectly and everything. But yeah, clean lines and no flourishes aren't my thing, but I'm sure there are a lot of people that are fans of that. Both consoles have fans and both deserve them. So obviously, these cookies aren't going to be all about one or the other. Use sugar color in green for Xbox and blue for PlayStation to decorate your baked goods. Logos, the names, maybe just some dots in the respective colors. So, black and white cookies done. My contribution to the end of the console war, if you want to think of it that way. In my humble opinion, PlayStation and Xbox, they can easily coexist. Just like the icing and the chocolate on my cookies. I hope you will enjoy eating them as much as I enjoyed making them. Like, share, comment and subscribe. I know it's said all the time, but it really does help me out, so thanks in advance. I hope your day is as good as gold. See you next time.